Hello, dear participants. A very good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar organized by International Copper Association, eManifold and Spark Group, whom you all are familiar with. Now, today our expert speaker is Mr. Rajaram Shinde, whose introduction I would give very soon. But before that, I would like to give a brief background about today's webinar subject. Now, we all are pretty familiar about the key performance indicators for the Indian distribution companies and various distribution sector issues. If we talk about the key performance indicators, the topmost thing which comes is loss reduction. Government have been trying varieties of schemes to improve the financial health of the utility and insisting on loss reduction. So we have been seeing substantive work into the loss reduction, ATC loss reduction area through technology, through improved billing, through improved metering, through improved collection process. The other thing of key performance indicator is reliability, because the utility wants to give 24/7 supply after having reached the milestone of connecting every village in this country with the electricity supply. And in peri-urban area and urban area, the quality of supply is a very strong focus. So they don't want any kind of failure rate into the transformers, especially into the distribution transformer, which will cause system outage that impacts their revenue, and company in whole of India could meet the Uday target and working towards betterment. But with all this, one of the key areas which is in the mind of the distribution utility engineers and the policy makers, that we should not have a situation of electrical safety due to the distribution assets. And that is why they have been very concerned. A number of actions are going on. When we select a transformer, we look at price, we look at delivery, we look at performance, and that should match the load's need and its size and its nature. In a very simplistic manner, I am saying this, but when we do in India, we look at the lowest cost and we look at the highest performance. Mostly we do not look at the right balance. And from there, lot of challenges which we face and which we are familiar with DTs. Around 12 million distribution transformer today in India in India's electricity supply, and almost 10% of that fail every year, resulting almost 5,000 to 6,000 crore loss to Indian exchequer. That's a financial loss, and that becomes a big polluter. and high failure rate. When I say high failure rate, some of this failure can get into the catastrophe, which is breaching the electrical safety. There are challenging current practices onto the one-day breakdown, repair, replacement, as well as procurement. So when we have challenging current practices, we have to have an approach like fit and forget solution. High technical losses, you all are aware of. Energy efficiency leveling, BIS level 1, level 2, level 3, alternatively star leveling for Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So in a multidisciplinary way, this is being addressed. During last webinar, our speaker, Dr. Ray, talked about the asset management. And while talking about the asset management, she talked about performance improvement, risk management, and lowest life cycle cost. And they come when, in a summarized manner, it becomes a asset management, which gives a substantive benefit to the distribution companies. And while doing the transformer as a key asset into the distribution sector, while doing that asset management and meeting our KPI, the consequence is the impact of failure of the asset in these blocks, the safety of property and the person located nearby in case of catastrophic failure, the safety of electrical equipment. We very recently came across a very unfortunate incident into Andhra, Srisailam. The environmental consequences, the oil pollution, noise, EMB, all this. If we have failures, the competitiveness and the economic reasons, and the direct impact on the company's image. We know what had happened long back in our memory, which is still afresh. Upahar tragedy. Last year, we know what had happened in Rajasthan. And the criticality always determines the consequences of the failures. And therefore, there is a need for prioritization. There can be varieties of ways to work on this. Now, I will not take much of time. The severity of oil immersed transformer. This is what you can see, and it is extreme practically, and it can really cause damage to properties, life, even the history. And we are pretty familiar with this news repeatedly happening in our Indian distribution sector. We are also seeing in many of the new and modern buildings, there are incidences of fire for varieties of reasons, and we are concerned. So how do we prevent the mitigation? It can be done prevention by avoiding the causes. It can be done through statutory provisions. You all are aware of Central Electricity Authority's safety regulations under Electricity Act, and the remedial measures. We can adopt varieties of technology and tools to avoid such kind of disastrous consequences. So on this subject, our expert speaker of today is Mr. Shinde. He is the Global Technology Advisor and Director for Cargill India Private Limited. Mr. Shinde really does not require any introduction, but I see that there are quite a few people in our audience today who may not be directly connected with the distribution sector, but from the building sector. So he's an industry veteran with close to 3 decades of experience and unique blend of various areas: application engineering, testing, diagnostic, training, and varieties of involvement. He is member in various technical committee of IEC as well as BIS. Earlier, RECAM RPG transformer plant, he was headed and responsible for the P&L. Before that, he was with Compton Gibbs Powells and Kirloskar Electric, that was earlier Voltas. Mr. Rajaram Shinde, a close friend and mentor of ours, is alumni of Pune Engineering College, and he is also specialist in statistical process control. His expertise and interest, obviously, he lives, drinks, eats, sleeps the transformer technology. In short, he is a transformational leader and technologist. We are 2 supporting moderators today to assist Mr. Shinde, myself Manas, and with me Mr. Patanaik from Spark. So this is what we are today attending. Earlier in this series, we already had on varieties of days, and all these webinar recordings are available. You will be able to see them, and you will be seeing those recordings. Besides that, we propose to have a FAQ based on during this webinar season and webinar series. That FAQ will be made available through the web to all the participants after we complete the series. Few housekeeping measures quickly, which you can see on the screen. And with this, I thank you for your active participation in this webinar series. We'll share the recording of the webinar post event, and question answer, as I said, after the completion of series, we'll have a FAQ series available to you. So with that, I leave the floor to our expert speaker of today, Mr. Rajaram Shinde. Mr. Shinde, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just before moving further, I like to check with Snehal. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Wonderful. So, ladies and gents, the subject has been told to me by 2 prominent experts. Like as I always used to say, if India moves to the presidential elections in the future, we have a right choice that Mr. Patnaik should stand for the presidential election, and I'm sure all electrical engineers will make him win. So we have really a great expert sitting around. Then Manas, he also doesn't need any introduction. A very systematic man, goes with in and out everywhere. And we have a support from a Snehal here, who is helping us today to really make you all engage with us on this session. So thank you very much. Next, please. I'm taking help of Snehal actually to make a slides for me because of some issues, technical issues, and that's the reason I will be using a lot of time. Word next please. So that next please is just for the slide. Now I'll take a little bit back into more than a decade, almost 130 years back. So 140 years, I would say. This is the only product I feel in our entire engineering field that it has been not changed. Why I'm saying the product has been not changed? There might be changes related to the chemistry. There might be changes related to the metallurgy. There might be changes related to enhancing the product performance, which we are talking today. But the basic engineering is unchanged. It still runs on the same principle, the Faraday's law. The transformer is still unchanged for 130 or 140 years plus, I would say. What has changed over the time is really a concern towards safety, concern towards reliability, and concerns towards products productivity. Whereas we can also call it as a cost optimization. We can also call for the value for money or value proposition. So everything kept on changing, and today I believe what product we get is one of the most efficient and reliable product. But there are still uncertainties which really make this transformer unhappy. Why I'm saying we make transformer unhappy? Transformer is a pretty good equipment. It's a static device. It doesn't need high tech maintenance. You just have to have a transformer which is like fit and forget. You fit the transformer, and for next 10 years you should not look at it. You should get a reliable electricity. Just imagine when you go at your home and you switch on your air con or lights in the night, and light goes up, and you all hardly bored. You're hardly bothered about it. Yeah, light is there itself. I go in house and I enjoy my tea, coffee, or watching television or whatever way. Now just put the situation where you go your home in the night, you switch on the light and light doesn't glow. You switch on your aircon, it doesn't glow. And oh my God, then you, no matter how much you care for your house, you start cursing everyone who is connected with that electricity, be it electrical engineer, utility, that builder, or whatever not. So why I'm putting all this here is just to connect you with the electricity, which you are 100% connected, but you are not connected. And that's where our age-old technology takes us. When transformer was invented, it was a dry type transformer, and today a lot of people come and say, oh, dry type is a new technology. When transformer was invented, it was a dry type. We engineers tried to extract maximum power from minimum material used in the transformer, and that's where this cooling, enhancing electrical insulation systems and all those came, and that's where the liquid came in and all the stories. Second, when this transformer was liquid cooled first in the world, it was with vegetable oils, and today we talk Easter is a new technology. So all this technology took time to get matured, and based on availability, based on the price, based on the optimization, and based on the requirement of society, we kept on changing. The principle of transformer is unchanged. It's still the same. What has happened over the time? Definitely a lot of improvement took place in the transformer. We used to have electrical, non-electrical grade steel initially, then electrical grade steel, and a lot of no-load losses. Slowly, today we came to a level where we have extra thin material, hardly 0.1, your nanocrystalline, amorphous, and even in a silicon steel also as low as a 0.1 millimeter thickness material you get. So you have really a great losses. You have reached to as low as almost 45 watts loss in the CRGO also. Same way, in the metal, initially you used to have a cotton insulated copper. Over the time, it has moved to the different shape, and today you have multiple copper technologies. You have foil technology, you have stranded copper, you have bulging conductor, strip, and so on. And same way is the insulation. Earlier, you used to have a solid insulation in a liquid filled transformer, which has today well matured in the cellulose family. And when it comes to a dry type transformer, they are also reasonably matured using again similar petroleum products. So today, what has come actually is to make this transformer not only efficient but also reliable and safe. What has happened over the time? We went on the cost engineering and the cheapest available material or the best available material, because that time the need was to feed the power to all the society. So we went on investing mineral oils. We went on investing some other insulation materials like resins and all. And then today the product has come to a certain level here where product is doing great job in terms of efficiency, but it's slightly not safer. I would say slightly, because if it is maintained properly, it will work. But small negligence leads to this catastrophic fires, as my friend just now expressed, and then we have seen series of accidents, and I really don't want to repeat them. But today, technologies are well matured, be it dry type or be it liquid field transformers, but the transformers are made fire safe. Let's get into more details further. Next slide, please. This slide I just brought in here just to make a basic comparison. And we all know, we engineers, that transformer has an active part inside, which is nothing but a copper, silicon steel, some insulation, and liquid. And both similar way in the single phase transformer or three phase transformer. And you just connect 3 wires from primary side and 4 wires from secondary side in the case of distribution network, and your house is electrified. So let's keep this transformer as simple as that, rather than complicating too much with it, putting so many rotating parts inside, putting so many high-tech gadgets inside, and then end of the day, nothing is working. So I still advise keep the transformer as simple as possible so that you really get safer and reliable power. Let's move to next slide. Now, as I said earlier, I just take you to the last 3 decades. That's where I started my career during the Voltas days. And I can speak more on the dry type transformer because that's what has brought me to the industry. And I was early joining trainee engineer, and those days Voltas selected me to be a member to bring the dry type transformer technology in India and implement it here. And that's how we were sent to Germany for adopting this technology, and then we develop it here and launch it here. And over the time, we realize it has certain limitations, but it was all the time with the unfilled and copper combination. Over the time, we realize it has a limitation. And the limitation is dry type transformer making above 33 kV is a big task. I mean, it's not practical. Dry type transformer making with a tap changer, if you need it, is really complicated. And dry type transformers are really fire safe, that we'll see in next few slides. So there was alternate development going on, and then Europe has done a lot of work on the dry type transformers. So they went ahead with making more and more higher rating dry type transformers, and that's the reason you find a lot of people thinking of making higher rated dry type transformers, which are not economical, but still they are making. And then that makes it very inefficient, because the moment you increase size of transformer, your core size goes and no load losses go significantly higher. And unfortunate part is we still are lagging on the efficiency norms and everything for the dry type transformer, which I really request everyone to contribute and should formulate something. Second, when we talk about the other technology, like what Western world used to think, and that's where they said, look, the transformer, when it was invented, it was a dry type. We engineers made it a liquid field so that we can take maximum possible efficiency out of it, maximum possible power from it. So why don't we continue in developing or exploring available liquids which can be a fire resistant? And that's how the birth for the alternate liquids came, which was like initial days Cooper Power System developed RTEM, which was nothing but high molecular weight hydrocarbons. They were heavier and transformer needs to be derated. So the another one was over the time, the second one what developed was like synthetic ester, which we see in a lot of railways and lot many niche segment applications. And then third alternative, which was like a origin of the entire alternate liquids, was nothing but vegetable oils converted into the industrial application. And that is none other than a natural ester, what we are talking. So you might find sometimes what are all these names and why it continues to be with like some product names are different, and also there are some histories for those product names. So when I said that in the last 3 decades, you might have found globally an entire distribution segment, the significant movement has taken place in the Western world and also in the Middle East and Southeast Asia. We're still lagging because we still have era of a different technology, and we're still lagging on adopting really key technologies, something like a fire safe distribution transformers. Unfortunately, legislation also takes some time to release the standard, but today we are fortunate that we have all the standards available with us, and there are significant improvements happening in India too, as far as making transformer reliable and fire safe. And one of them I would love to share is the government utility GETCO, Gujarat Electric Transmission Company. What they did is they have almost gone ahead with all urban transformers, power transformers and distribution, power transformers mainly to start with, has been with fire safe liquids. So let's move to the next slide. Still people have a question, what is ester? And my simple answer to them is, let's not get into what is ester. All our edible oils are nothing but ester. It is basically the combination, or let's say the combination of alcohols and acids, which we have at home too, and which is nothing but our edible oils, which are derived from different seeds and all. Whereas these also can be made synthetically. You source the alcohols and acids, which can be from renewable resources, or the cheapest acids you can source from the minerals, crude oils, and then synthesize them and make ester, which is nothing but a synthetic ester. So the ester, which is derived naturally from edible oils, like which is soya bean or hyolic sunflowers, are natural esters, and the esters which are manufactured from acids and alcohol are synthetic esters. So both the esters are equally fire safe. I don't want to put which is more fire safe and less fire safe. Both are equally fire safe. When we discuss in detail, we can discuss little bit on the both esters. So let's move to the next slide, please, again. So when this ester, or let's say alternate fluid development, was going on, one of the criteria came was, what should be the criteria for designating them differently than the regular fluid or the conventional mineral oil what we use in the transformer. And one of the expert team came together in IEC. They sat together and they said, let's classify the fluids. And that's where the birth for K-class fluid came, which was IEC 61039, which classified the fluids into O-class, K-class, and so on. So a lot of people always have a question in mind that my transformer is Onan. That Onan has nothing to do with the oil. That Onan is, it has a coolant or dielectric fluid inside, which is a O-class. It has nothing to do with the mineral oil. Same way, if you have a transformer which is filled with a K-class fluid, the transformer becomes Knan. This Knan is nothing but a fluid which has fire point more than 300 degrees C. Now, what is the logic for 300 degrees C? So there are lot many calculations, empirical formulas why it has been locked at 300 degrees C. But to cut short the discussion, when IEC came up with this classification, all the fluids, including silicon, synthetic ester, and natural ester, which has a fire point above 300, are classified as a K class, and all three fluid gives equal fire safety. Now I am saying equal fire safety means in terms of a fire. When in terms of usability, we will see in detail further. So let's move to the next slide, and then we deep dive into the their classifications based on the fire point and flash point. So these are the fluids what has been shown on the slide, are coming from dielectric application, silicon fluid, synthetic ester, natural ester, and conventional mineral oil. The best mineral oil today available, be it imported or as per IEC 60296, has a fire point in the range of 160 or 155 degrees C. And all these other fluids, like synthetic ester, has a fire point close to 310, 350 degrees C. Silicon fluid has a 340, and natural ester has the highest, which is 360 degrees C. So this higher fire point doesn't mean it is too much superior than the other fluids as far as fire safety is concerned, but it is superior in terms of handling. When it comes to the shop floor handling or transformer manufacturing, there are chances that you may end up with some impurities while processing the transformer, and these superior thermal class, superior fire point helps them to overcome those impurities. So even though you are getting compromise on the fire point during the manufacturing from 360 to 350 or 340, still your transformer is K class, equally fire safe, whereas in a case of other technologies, that cushion goes away, and that's the reason you get slightly a better advantage during the manufacturing and processing of the transformer when you are using natural ester there. Next. So the another fluid what we spoke so far, the natural ester, the another fluid what we spoke is synthetic ester, which again is manufactured from acids and alcohols. So the acids and alcohols can be again derived and manufactured or derived from the natural resources, but most cheaper available are from the minerals. So that's the reason synthetic esters are made from synthesizing process. And because they need a significant, critical, high-tech process, those are costly. Those are not that cost-effective like natural ester or mineral oil. So let us move on. Next slide. Next, please. Now, before I go for the product comparison, I like to put on some comparison on the basic parameters during the mineral oil and the esters in general. And what we saw so far is about the risk of fire, the biodegradability, moisture issues with the conventional mineral oil design, and sludge formation in the transformer. So if you have ester inside, these all points can be overcome very easily. We'll discuss during the Q&A in detail. I'm sure people will have a lot of questions on that. Next slide, please. And this is the prominently slide which normally I love to speak from top to bottom, but people have first question from bottom to top. What is the cost of ester? And let me put in a manner what you people will like to understand is, I assume a mineral oil price as a $1. Then typically natural esters are $2. Synthetic esters are $4, and so is a silicon fluid. That's also between $4 to $5 between depending on the packing and then shipment. So then now I can speak also on some technical terms too. The all fluid can be used in a liquid cooled transformer, not an issue. But most of the required parameters like a diagnostic capability, the environment friendliness, toxicity, and in all these terms, natural ester and synthetic ester too in some areas does far better job than the mineral oil. Let's move to next slide. And this would interest a lot many people today because we have taken a subject of distribution transformers. And okay, let me get into a little history here. So when distribution transformer getting popular, because that was a need, and same time multiple technologies were coming on, then technologies were depending on those technologies, the classifications were done. So that was a little confusing for me. Why people call dry type transformer and liquid filled transformer? What is the, I mean, what does it mean, dry type transformer? So are we classifying products based on technology? Is anybody saying that the IC engine driven car, or anybody saying it is electrical battery, EV, electrical vehicles? Are we having some category based on the technology? And there it should be something like outdoor, indoor, based on the application, or it should be based on something like usage, or it should be based on something like a class of voltage. I don't know. And then when people started talking too much on this subject, end of the day concluded that, let's say there is a dry type and there is a liquid fill. As far as the transformer distribution are concerned, distribution transformers are concerned, let's limit ourselves to a technology based differentiation. And then in dry type transformer, as most of us know, we have typically three types of technologies. One is a VPI dry type technology, which is a vacuum pressure impregnated dry type transformers, which normally the copper conductor is insulated with aramid insulation from class C to class H, and they are impregnated with different resins, varnishes, and then they are used up to certain voltage level. So making it has a limitation. If you really make them above 11 kV, it's not cost effective, it's not healthy, and it's not efficient at all. So I mean, worst efficiency, I would say. When it comes to the another technology, which is something people call cast resin dry type, people will say resin cast dry type, somebody say encapsulated dry type, somebody say unfilled cast dry type, somebody say fully filled, and so much. And this is nothing but again making a copper windings, encapsulating them with the resins and hardeners, which comes again from the petroleum family, bisphenol families, and those resin and hardeners put together. It's just like a same araldite what we use in a house. It's a similar material is used to encapsulate this transformer, so the windings are protected from outside environment. But all these encapsulation, impregnation do add combustible materials into it, and those are also at certain temperature burning. And then there is something called a third technology, which is hybrid technology. You mix high voltage windings from cast resin and low voltage winding from VPI or prepeg and many more. Whereas the liquid fill technology remains liquid fill only. There are no changes, no complications. Only there can be O class liquid or there can be a K class liquid. And then I tried to compare dry type in general versus liquid fill transformers. And let's speak on some of the limitations. So as I said, I like to take some more time on these slides because a lot of question comes after on these slides, and we sometimes skip those slides here. So as I said, the dry type transformer up to 33 kV specially cast resin you can use. If it is a VPI, then up to 11 kV. And when it comes to the oil filled, and I would say the O class as well as the liquid K class ester filled, as such there is no limit. You can use in any voltage class. You have, the natural ester transformers are running as high as 550 kV class in South America, and 400 kV class are many more examples. When it comes to the insulation class, why somebody should go to the dry type or liquid type? So I will put numeric value because that's what I now specify. So dry type transformer normally a class 140. That's where you limit your temperature rise 90 degree over an ambient of 50 degrees C. Mineral oil fill transformer, due to the fluid limitations, are normally class 105, that is 105, because mineral oil has a lesser thermal class. So that's the reason you limit your temperature rise to 55 degrees C over an ambient of 50 degrees C. And K class fluid transformers are class 140, same like a dry type. And that's the reason you can go to the temperature class of similar like a dry type transformer. The proven studies or the analysis are not there, but because of the process complications, normally the dry type transformer life is calculated as 20 years. In a distribution transformer, a conventional mineral oil life is calculated as 22 or 20 point something based on the IEEE formula, whereas this is purely coming from one of the American utilities. They have disclosed a lot of calculations and they have published some international papers on the life enhancement, life assessment on their network. And this K class fluid transformers, which is the natural ester, this data is from natural ester FR3. So those are normally 33 years of a life. That's how they say you extended a life of 1.5 times and all. And main parameter where we really make transformers inefficient when you do a dry type transformer, because I understand that product little better. I spent almost 20 years into it. Out of my 30 years of career. So when you talk about the no load losses, it's close to impossible to match the no load losses of liquid filled transformer because of its size. Normally, no load losses in dry type transformer are almost double the liquid filled transformer. And today, when we have BIS implemented for efficiencies, which is 1180 part 1, which talks about the liquid filled transformer, where meeting those efficiency with dry type up to certain rating may be tried, but it becomes enormously costly. It's really very, very costly. But still, it's not possible to meet. And then, because of this technology limitation, we have to allow inferior losses, and that's where we have a limitation. Let's move to next slide. There was a chance earlier days before implementation of IS 1180 that the load losses of liquid filled transformer can be more than the dry type transformer. But because of the efficiency, today the transformers are really a very, very low load loss transformers. That's limit their current density, which was earlier limitation for dry type transformer. And that's the reason today oil field transformer load losses are much more lower than the dry type transformers. And today people started using aluminum in dry type transformer, which is a big nuisance, I would say, although it suits in that technology, but it's a big nuisance, and why I'll update you when I come to the next slide. Today, you get a product which is 99.8% efficient transformer as against a 90%. And why I'm putting a little doubt here is if you look at the average loading of transformer, be it a distribution network or let's call time being some industrial application, the average annual loading of transformer is typically a 50% in the any network. And in that loading, liquid filled transformers, both mineral oil as well as ester field, are far efficient than a dry type transformer. At 50%, you really screw up the efficiencies in the dry type transformer. So when it comes to, because of all these limitations, when it comes to the cost spent on running the transformer versus cost generated by selling the energy, when you calculate this for the transformer, yes, ester field transformers are really good, because how much of power you consume per day versus how much of power you deliver per day, that makes sense. And that's the reason they are costly from that perspective, because it consumes energy. The maintenance practices, a lot of people may say, I mean, I used to say dry type are maintenance free, and yes, they are maintenance free. They don't need a maintenance which associates with liquid, if any leakage or something, but they need a significant maintenance to clean them weekly, unless you have a sealed transformer like in East India, CSC uses sealed transformer, but except them, all other places are ventilated dry type transformer. In a sealed type, you have limitation. You cannot make transformer really cost effective more than 1000 kVA. And when it comes to that level, these transformers are needed frequent shutdowns, cleanings, partial discharge measurement, and so on. Whereas liquid filled transformers typically are fit and forget if those are manufactured correctly. Otherwise, somebody says, no, my transformer is leaking and I have to always top up the oil. But that's manufacturing defect. Product is not designed to leak. When it comes to the most important parameter, which is like a fire safe, dry type transformers are equally good fire safe. I will not say they are not fire safe, but when fire takes place, the resin also burns. Why it burns? Because if you go to the resin catalogs, whenever you get time, Huntsman resin catalog, which is CY205 and HY905 commonly used in India, they have flash point and fire point close to 200 degrees C, as against mineral oil 150 or 160 degrees C, whereas this K-class fluid, typically I'm talking here 60 degrees C. Let's move to the next slide. When we are talking about this safety doesn't mean only human safety, safety to the environment too. And the environment safety, if you see, the most safest are the natural ester field transformers. Why I'm saying so? Mineral oil, we all know, they are not environment friendly. And same is with the dry type transformer also. The resins and everything comes from petroleum. And if something spillage or something is there, it's a huge cost of disposal for resin. You have to send it to the incineration, burning. The similar activities what you do with mineral oil, but at least in mineral oil, you can filter it, use it, and only few quantities spent, left out or scrapped. When it comes to the history of a failures, because dry type transformer has a naked connection inside, from the winding connection comes which goes naked to the insulator, and from where you connect the cable, those lead to the failures because of the reptiles, the lizards, and the snakes. You might have seen there are snakes in the transformer, because those are ventilated dry types, we have access to go inside. Whereas that's not applicable because those are sealed transformers. And when it comes to the conventional mineral oil transformers, those are also less prone to that, except a crude which is sourced from the, again, the mineral oil which is sourced from the crude. When it comes to the insulation, again, for the liquid filled transformer, most of the insulation you use is from cellulose family. Those are all biodegradable when they are not immersed with the mineral oil. But here, the solid insulation which is immersed with the natural ester is also biodegradable, and you don't have much cost on the reclamation and the disposal. Whereas the most of dry type transformers are made with aramid paper, and again aramid paper comes from fibroids. Those are also again from minerals. So again, a question of biodegradability is there. Let's move to the next slide so that I give some justice to the comparison. And last but not least is which we really do not care much, but noise level. In Europe recently, there has been $1 million penalty, €1 penalty to one of the company because they were installing noisy transformer beside somebody's house. And then he was getting annoyed because the transformer is always making a humming noise, like a something like that. And that is a result of none other than the noisy transformers. Because dry type transformers are ventilated, and the NEMA standard also allows more noise into the transformers, and it doesn't have any dampening device because air is a carriage and not the dampening device. Whereas both the liquid filled transformers are less noisier than dry type, but the natural ester is much more lesser. And the latest publication, if you have seen from Tata, which they did for Bandra Kurla complex, is they could reduce 14 decibels as against there were 74 decibels, and it was really 59 decibels as against 73 decibel was their comparison during their mineral oil filled transformer versus natural ester filled transformer. Because this ester fluid are viscous, they dampens the sound square waves easily, and reduces the audible noise level, and that's how it helps transformer to run quieter and smoother. When it comes to the application, a lot of people are, it's okay, but transformer aapka type test hua hai kya? And transformer type testing has nothing to do with the liquid system. Transformer type test, when it comes to the specific about the short circuit, whether it's a mineral oil field or whether it's a natural ester field or it's a synthetic ester field, all transformers will be the same. When it comes to the impulse, yes, you have to give consideration. And when it comes to the temperature rise, all the transformer manufacturers and OEMs today offer you a technology which is well type tested and safer. The major issue nowadays started coming in Mumbai like atmosphere, and that's the reason crowded cities like Mumbai have started moving away from dry type, and that's the latest trend you find with the Tata Power or Reliance. They started buying distribution transformers, copper wound distribution transformers with K class. Now, why I'm saying here copper wound is because these transformers also can be made with aluminum, but they become bulkier. Bulkier in the sense, not in the weight, but in the size. And Mumbai like atmosphere doesn't have that type of, I would say, space available to give for the distribution transformer installation. Now the unique concept Adani is launching is like they want to have some pole structure and put transformers on that. Typically what CSC Kolkata has, because they don't get space. So when it comes to the space, it is normally by thumb rule you can estimate that the smallest would be a K-class field transformer, especially natural ester K-class field transformer. Then second would be a mineral oil field transformer, which is like 1:1.1, and when it comes to a dry type transformer, it is normally 1.5 to 1.8. When it is a 33 kV, then it becomes almost 2 times. Let's move to the next slide. Typical pictures I bought for the everybody's comfort. So just don't try to find out which make the transformer is, but that's how it looks like. The K-class fluid people are giving, I mean, I have nothing to do on that, but a lot of OEM give more and more guarantee, warranty on that. Nowadays 3 years has become typically a standard practice. Whereas when it comes to a dry type or mineral oil, people still restrict to 1 year, because even OEMs are also afraid of having limitations on the dry type transformer failure. And when it fails, the repairability is havoc, because the dry type transformer you cannot repair, especially cast agent transformer. You have to throw away the coil and put a new coil, but you can replace the coil. When it comes to a liquid field transformer, both mineral oil and natural ester, you can repair as much as, and that's how, although we say we should have fit and forget, but there are still failures, and repairability is a need of country, because we cannot afford to invest again into a new equipments looking at the today's economy. So when you see transformers from utility point of view, and lot of utility has their own repair center if they don't have their contractor, for them it becomes too easy to maintain and repair liquid field transformer as against dry type transformer. A typical data, I don't want to claim anybody's name, but what I have seen is as high as 5% to 6% failure rates in the dry type transformer. Especially again, some of the data from Mumbai, when flooding took place, all the dry type transformers were submerged underwater and they could not recharge them. Few of them they could wash and recharge, but there was a significant failure there. Whereas most of the liquid field transformer, almost 95%, they could recharge after the flood is over, and they just cleaned and started the transformer. So that's one of the area, because these transformers are normally IP65, so water doesn't go easily inside the transformer into the liquid field. And when especially the K-class field transformers, which are like hermetically sealed, or if non-pre-breathing, I would say not hermetically sealed. If they are non-pre-breathing transformer, there is no chance that even the flooding water will go inside. And it is nowadays common practice for the metros that people use HTLT connections with boots and kits, so that your the connections are also screened and insulated. So let's move to the quickly next slides, and then we can open for question and answer. So why I say these K-class fluid are better, because the transformers can design for high temperature, which is my next slide, and transformer can be optimized, and that's the way forward. Let's move to the next slide again. It has a lot of certification. You can find a lot of symbols at the bottom, whether it's EPA or anything. So for what the points we spoke, whether it's a fire safety, whether it's environmental, whether it's a maintenance from environmental perspective and toxicity perspective, the K-class fluid, I mean natural ester FR3 is quite cheaper here if you are comparing from that perspective as against dry type transformers and liquid field transformers. So you can have a simpler containment, and you don't need any remediation for the clay, which we don't follow in India, but over the time it is going to come here also, because environmental concern has been equally grown in the country, and we need to protect our environment. We especially have seen especially this COVID days, how environment has been clean automatically. Which is one thing is, of course, it has been really quite devastating and really affecting country's economy. But same time, from environmental perspective, it's really improving the environmental pollution levels and all. Let's move to next slide. So I will skip this slide. Let's move to the slide. This becomes too much marketing PPT than the So when I say the natural ester K-class fluid becomes the first choice of preference for the customer, especially in the European world, and the Western world is because now standards are available. There is IEC 60076 part 14, which is a high temperature standard. Standard do allow you to increase your transformer rating to as high as 140 degrees C. That means your transformer becomes almost 1.2 times to 1.5 times than the rating. And when you go at that temperature, the limitations of the fluid are mineral oil, and limitation of the conductor becomes sometimes from the short circuit point of view as aluminum. So when you have that type of opportunity, it is always not opportunity, that type of thinking way forward, then it's always the choice becomes between the natural ester and copper wound transformers. So let's move to next slide. If somebody wants to understand the table details, I will just try to explain in a short that the basic craft material, even though it's a class thermal class of 87 degrees C or 85 degrees C, when it's impregnated with mineral oil, which has a thermal class of 105, it becomes typically a class 105 composite insulation system. Same way when you have a natural ester K class, this data again is from FR3 data. So when you have natural ester fluid which is impregnated with conventional craft paper, it becomes a thermal class of 120, and if paper is thermally upgraded craft, it becomes 140. So that's how this thermal class in numeric values has been specified in the standard, and now BIS 1180 part 2, which is now under printing, will be shortly getting released, and you will have some relaxation, not to the but the thermal class of the transformer and optimize and reduce the size of transformer. So let's move on next slide. Okay. So why I wanted to move on to the next slide, that people says when my transformer becomes from 105 class to 140 class, does overloading capabilities like specified in the standard are applicable? And yes, even though transformers are re-rated or having a dual rating, like 1000 kVA with a normal temperature rise, 1250 kVA with IEC temperature rise, and when it has IEC temperature rise, does it have overloading capability like 660? So in the standard 66. So when we say overloading capability, yes, the standard do allow, and you already have standard. I specifically put a green mark here. Yes, the transformer do have overloading capability, even though those are running at higher temperature because of their superior thermal class. So let's move to next slide. So these are again the extracts from IEEE, IEC, and BIS standards. So the standards are available, whether it's IEEE C57 154, or whether it's IEC 60076 part 14, or whether it's BIS 2026 part 14. They all has the same standard, same table, and you can move for the transformer with a dual rating, high temperature design, that conventional losses, conventional and transformer will have capability to take extra load during peak hours. That's what will be my next slide. Let's move on. So if your transformer you have designed for the conventional temperature rise at 1, so definitely with the revised temperature rise we can go to as high as 1.5x, 1.5 times, and that's the typically a global trend nowadays you find, and you can save on the losses of the transformer by doing a right sizing of transformer, selecting a smaller size transformer where you have a load coming in the future. Let's move on to the next. Again, extract from the standard. So because of this one, what you get is typically when you have, let's say, 400 kVA transformer doing 630 kVA job, so today your load is less. That means you get not only a 630 kVA additional capacity, but also extra overloading capabilities, because your 400 kVA transformer sometimes can be overloaded as high as 700 kVA. And today, because of the lower efficiency and all that, you get that extra power in the transformer, and it can be reloaded, overloaded, and you get extra increased capability in the transformer. If somebody has a question on that, we can discuss in detail. In the pressure of time, let's move to the next slide. So why this? What is the reason for having this? The reason is like when you say why I can allow this temperature rise and all that, what's the reason? A simple logic, rather than getting in too much detail here, is this products has a peculiar behavior which you can say is it brings a lot many advantages to the transformer. That means it sacrifices its life to protect the transformer's insulation, something like that. What happens when you impregnate this conventional kraft paper with this fluid? It keeps continuously dry and enhances its life, because when you are keeping it a dry or required dry, I would say, not complete dry, required dry, it increases life of paper by as high as 5 times in case of kraft paper and as high as 8 times in case of thermally upgraded kraft paper. And you will find a lot of published data on there, be it Stuttgart University, Manchester University, UN Laboratory, FM Global, a lot of US IEEE data. Everywhere you'll find these similar equations, and it's well proven that the paper impregnated with ester fluid, specifically natural ester, brings you a huge life in the insulation. And there are some hydrolysis which we'll discuss later. Let's move on. Next slide, please. So what does it mean, this hydrolysis or continuous drying effect? That this fluid loves moisture. So when it is a free moisture, it eats, as simple as, and it eats, when it eats, it has to generate some byproduct. And the byproducts are nothing but fatty acids. And those acids are not corrosive or aggressive as like mineral oil. They are non-corrosive, less active conventional acids, and the same acids human eats. Like we eat a lot of omega-3 and omega-6 acids. It's nothing but digestive acids. So these are there are studies which are also attached in the standard when you read the annex in 60076 part 14, that these acids interacts with the cellulose and enhance its electrical and mechanical properties. And when they do that, they remove the water from the paper. When during the life of transformer, when you find there is a migration of water from solid insulation to the liquid to the solid, when it comes to the liquid, it retains with itself. It doesn't do over drying. The moment paper has been reached to the water level less than 1%, typically it stops. And that's the reason it is very tricky and very critical to understand that how does it does, because of its chemical structure, long chain acids. So we can discuss that in much later whenever somebody wants to have in detail on that. Let's move to the next. Quickly, I will cover one case study. This is from Brazil. A lot of people might have seen it, but I thought to bring it here. They did a study. They have some rating of transformer. They wanted to do a standardization. So they put a 45 kVA transformer in place of 112.5 kVA. And the average annual loading of this transformer was 88 kVA. That means it was running throughout almost double the rating of transformer. It was copper wound filled with natural ester FR3. Let's move to the next slide. I quickly, what utility decided, let's take out this transformer because they were on the network for 12 plus years and their experience with mineral oil transformer was horrible. And some of the other conductors were also horrible. So what they decided after 12 plus years, let's remove this transformer. Transformer was working all fine. So let's remove this transformer and see what happens inside. And just move to the next slide, you will find the results there. They dismantle the transformer. Next slide. So they dismantled the transformer, opened it, and when they opened it, they found inside transformer was as good as brand new. Next slide, please. And liquid which was inside was looking like just it has come from a just look at the slide. The fluid looks like a brand new because it's dyed green. The copper looks like a brand new. And where you can really make next slide, please. Where you really can make the aging of transformer is on this slide, where you find the all experts came together. They dismantled the paper, they removed interlayer insulation, low voltage winding conductor insulation, and they found degree of polymerization for the paper average was 915. Those days DP value for the cellulose used to be in the range of 1000. So you can imagine paper was as good as brand new, even though it was running at average temperature double than its normal temperature, rating of transformer almost double than the normal rating, nominal rating, and still transformer had enough left out life. And then you can, whenever you get time, you just go on any search engine and or YouTube and just type Itaipu FR3 case study. You will find these videos and everything online. It's in a Portuguese language, but at the bottom you will find English footnotes and you can understand everything. Most of the data what I am trying to share here is available online. Just search it correctly. You will find it whether on YouTube or Google search engine or Safari somewhere. Let's move to next slide now. That we bring it to the conclusion. This is what I spoke. Only if you can able to see this slide correctly, the aging of transformer you can only see from the weld joints where copper to copper is welded. There you find it is slightly blackened and aging is in there. Otherwise, it's as good as a brand new. Let's move on. Next slide, please. Some of the latest developments, the best part is Maharashtra government has allowed these K-class fluid transformers for indoor installation as against dry type transformers. They understood, they took significant trials of it. They also, some of the experts have visited to the different locations to see are they really fire safe. If you look at IEC, in IEC it is also mentioned that there has been no reported fire with K-class fluid transformer. So Maharashtra state government has already released the order that dry type transformers can be used, K-class fluid transformers can be used along with the dry type, either dry type or K-class fluids. That means both are equally fire safe. That's what is the government's justification. And in the state of Maharashtra, next slide please. In the state of Maharashtra, the largest electricity utility has also released their specifications to allow this fluid in their installation. Quickly, some of the installations globally and locally, you will find this is none other than the Google data center installation. On the right side, you will find the K-class fluid transformers nicely installed at different floors. Let's move on. One more example, you will find a similar, the indoor installation. In some places, they have made rule that by chance something happens to the transformer or some leakage comes, so I should have some tray below the transformer. So that's typically American design. You will find every transformer has a small tray at the bottom, so that if minor spillage or something during the repair or maintenance is there, it gets accumulated into the small tray. Let's move on. Or you can say secondary containment. A beautiful installation where the I would say god of insurance companies typically is considered as FM Global, where their own installations are with this technology, and these are all indoor installations under the building, sometime in a basement or sometime at the higher floor. Let's move on. But there is a huge. Let's move on. We can quickly move to the concluding side and open forum for the Q&A. So one slide I would like to discuss here. This has been a modern practice now. If you carefully see this paper, what they are saying that if you have this fluid transformer, you can use 630 kVA transformer in place of 750 or 400 kVA transformer in place of 630, and all the losses, impedance, efficiencies, everything is given here. So by slight compromise sometimes on the efficiency, and that to the when you need it, it will give you a significant saving on the transformer's cost as well as the size and the installation. As simple as 400 kVA transformers wait for 630 kVA transformer. You can imagine how much of savings you are doing. Let's move on to the next. This is one of the European company I have just taken from their catalog. When it comes to the different installations, be it a wind, either on the in the nacelle or on the elevated platform, technology is well proven and it's being used more than 2.5 decades now. Next one. With one slide I would really like to discuss on, because we have similar case in India. Okay. So this slide I would like to discuss amongst all that for us also nowadays, floating solar, or let's say here they call as a solar fish park, something like that, are modern practices that you have a pond, artificial or natural, you can use it to grow a fishes that will take care of your human needs, human edible needs, and then food needs. I mean, typically our food needs will be taken care of that. And when you have cover the water, you can reduce the temperature of water, and that allows you to grow fish. They grow faster in the lower temperature, and you can generate electricity out of it. So there were a lot of discussion. Now the projects what I am showing here are 32 substations in China, 32 fish solar parks. So each solar park had 40-60 transformers. So those are huge, more than 100 transformers. So 32 such locations, out of which some considerations where they were considering initially a dry type transformer, which are again ventilated. When they are on the water vapor goes inside, and then IR value goes down, and it needs maintenance. And if something failure or something goes down, or some small flash or blast, the epoxy splatters gaze into the water, and those are toxic. If fish eat them, they die. Whereas these fluid transformers, this is again a same case study. I was involved there, so I know it. When they installed it, they tried all. I mean, they did even a try of putting fish into the water and putting this pure fluid into it, whether they die. So they were sustaining. So they were really enjoying eating it. And similar application and issues were discussed here in India by BHEL and NTPC, and they went ahead with natural staple transformers. So Ramagunda is the project they are doing now. Let's move to the next. Some of the examples, what you see in Mumbai, this is a case from Mumbai where they have removed older transformer and put a smaller footprint transformer in the same location, same plane with almost double the capacity. Let's move on. And this double the capacity is already given in the rating plate. You might have seen a lot of publication by Tata and different companies. So what I will do here is I stop here and open the forum for question and answer, that people need to rethink, and depending on the application, like I still say, if you have multiple secondary windings like a drive application, please use dry type transformer. I myself will say, because I know that technology. But when it comes to the nominal conventional distribution transformer, till liquid field, specifically high temperature design dual rated K-class fluid transformers are the best for our country, that they will save cost and they will save lives, and it will be more safer and reliable product. So I stop here and hand over to the organizer to open the forum for question and answer. And thank you, Snehal, for all the help during the PPT. Let's move on.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajaramji.
Most welcome, sir. Let's move on to Q&A.
Yeah, wonderful presentation. Patanaik ji, are you there? I'm not sure whether he's there, but anyway, let me then take it forward. I think you will not be able to go yourself, right?
Yeah, I can read some of the questions put on the chat box. Do you want me to take them one by one, and then we open the other questions which you have with you?
You can do that, or alternatively, okay, I can read out the questions. If it
okay.
First, are you listening me, Manasji?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, because of some exigency, I will be with one meeting. So you please carry forward and moderate the session.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Okay, I'm sorry I couldn't manage to do so, because an emergency meeting is there. So I will be busy. You please just manage the rest of this.
So we.
Thank you, Patnaik, for your patience.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, Rajaramji, there is a question. What is the clearance required in natural ester oil? Is it more than mineral oil DT or not?
Not. It's the same. See what happens. Okay, the clearance, if you are seeing from the perspective of design of oil,
no, your voice is not audible. We are missing your voice. Hello?
Less than 3 millimeter, then sometimes this fluid flows slowly, and up to 40-50 degree, this transformer runs warmer than mineral oil. But when it comes to the operating temperature of 70 or 70 plus, then both are equal, because that time viscosity is quite close by and it's flowable. So ideally, do not need to change the clearances, but if it is a cold temperature and it run, you may find 1 or 2 degrees difference.
Okay. There is an interesting question. Because of propensity of renewable energy, especially solar PV technology, the local transformers are constantly being loaded onto the load side with reverse direction current. Can you please touch a bit on this scenario and share your thoughts?
Okay. I made some statement, something like a bidirectional device. Transformer has to be bidirectional. It is a step up or step down. And what makes more sense here is the inrush current. What happens when you have a transformer running, let's say, 33 bar 680 volt typically in solar application, and that too you use solar duty. That means it is derated by 0.8. And further, if you have natural ester, a lot of people replace nowadays 12.5 MVA transformer by 8 MVA. That's really great when you have this bidirectional movement. When it is bidirectional movement, smaller transformer needs a smaller inrush current. Plus, you improve the transformer's efficiency at smaller rating, like 8 MVA. If you are using the best core, your no load losses are lower. Even if it runs at 12.5 MVA, you are consuming the no load loss at 8 MVA, which is like just like a 24-hour. And when you have this bidirectional, your inrush currents are always limited, and that allows you to have a transformer which is doing its purpose during the peak load handling, which is the 4 hours of solar generation. And that's where I was trying to address during the comparison, that the per day power consumption versus per day power delivered. So when you say the transformer efficiency in that terms, the solar application would be the right application for this type of technology, which is very popular nowadays in China. I mean, millions of transformers are getting installed in the solar application with this technology. Does that answer the question, sir?
Yeah, I think that fairly addresses his concern.
Okay.
And in this format, probably that is the right optimum thing to do. And right now we are approaching our deadline, which is 4:30, but we'll extend that for quite a few questions which has come into. And I will march.
Shall I read and go? Yeah, shall I read and go one by one to save? Because I can see in the chat box many more questions you have already forwarded.
Exactly. So you can do that. But just one thing, last few questions, I think I can merge them into one question. Can the existing DTs be replaced with ester fluid? And what precautions should be taken while replacing the ester oil into the mineral oil DT? That is one question. And
Okay.
is there any manual to do this? You know, is there any standard for carrying out maintenance of ester oil field transformer? So it's a
Perfect.
combination of three questions.
Yeah. So one is I distribute it into three. Can existing transformer will be replaced by ester field? I have already shown the slide. Old transformer is taken and new ester field is put. No issue. Now, can my old transformer be retrofilled while doing repair or while doing overhauling with this fluid? Answer is yes, and you still get same benefits. In fact, I always suggest that the natural ester is more suitable for retrofill, because even though you take out the as much as possible oil from the transformer, it will be still 3 to 4% oil left out in the solid insulation system, because that's the impregnated one. And then you have full guideline and SOP that how to do a retrofilling. In a short, you take out the old oil, flush the transformer, wash the transformer with a new oil, fill the new fluid, allow it to settle for 4 hours and charge the transformer. As simple as that. But what care to be taken, what precisely be taken? There is a full-fledged guideline with pictorial views and everything. So it's available. Now, when you change existing free breathing transformer to the natural ester, that time all OEMs of natural ester will advise to have a bidirectional device in the series of breather. That means you make transformer partially breathing or sealing, because this fluid is not normally recommended for free breathing transformer, because when it loses the moisture and oxygen, it also loses the moisture from atmosphere also. So it will reach to its life earlier than it's designed for. Even though your transformer is free breathing and running with natural ester, it will run for 10-15 years. There are many more transformers running with free breathing for 10-15 years, but that's not designed life of transformer. Transformer should run 30-40 years. And if you want to get that life, then transformer should be partially breathing or non-free breathing for this purpose. But yes, if your power transformer has already airbag, then you don't need to know anything. Just replace the fluid by the way of this following standard practice. Now, when it comes to the standard guideline, there are guidelines available by all the OEMs, but we are trying to compile everything together and make a national guideline, which draft has been already submitted to BIS, and at this moment the other priorities are stronger, so it's slightly delayed. But I'm sure by in a year's time it should be out, and they will have a standard for retrofilling and repairing and overcoming the transformers' existing limitation.
Great. Okay, this is another interesting question, and I think though your initial slides already say the fire temperature and the range and all that, the question is, in case a distribution transformer with K oil catches fire, then is the overall effect as devastating mineral oil filled transformer, and if not, then why?
Actually, I should have a computer today, because we had a fantastic experiment done by Sapienza University, Roma, before they adopt technology in a Terna utility. Okay, if you retrofill the transformer, that doesn't mean you have taken all the worries of transformer. You have taken the worry of transformer from the life perspective, fire perspective, maintenance point of view. But even though in that case also, if transformer fails inside, if there is a short circuit inside and transformer fails, it will burst, it will explode, it will do everything, but there won't be a catastrophic fire. Why I'm saying so? Because to reach to 360 degrees C and in presence of oxygen, you will generate some gas, and then transformer will form a pressure and transformer will burst. In case of natural ester, it generates gases 6 times lower than the mineral oil. So that is one, your explosion is limited. Second, by the moment it explodes, the fumes will come out, and if there is oxygen and fire available outside, it will catch a fire if fire is more than fire point reaches more than 360 degrees. But the moment you remove external source or your circuit is tripped, fire gets extinguished in less than a second. That means even though this fluid is taken to 360 degrees and oxygen is made present there, and the spark has been taken place, and it continues for 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. By that time, some system will trip somewhere, either in a distribution or not, in a transmission or at a generation level, and then it will extinguish. And that's the reason there is a line in a IEC that no sustainable fires reported for K-class fluid transformer since its inception. That means last 30 years, there are more than few million transformers working all over the globe. Not a single fire case is there, sustainable fire case.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything on this earth can burn at a different temperature.
Okay, thank you. This is from my side actually. You mentioned about the dual rating distribution transformer and the application of it. What is your vision of using dual rating distribution transformer in Indian utilities? And is there any utility using the dual rating? What is that concept? Can you little elaborate the conceptual perspective as well as Indian application?
Yeah, what I will give a relevant example. What happened to the Tata Power when they went for the retrofill program? When they design a system, that time they design a system which was like 70% of loading, then they put a transformer of certain rating. So they put 1000 kVA in place of 700 kVA load. Transformer was running and everything was fine. And the substation was doing well, but over the time load demand has gone up. And today they have to replace that transformer, but they don't have space. They have to replace the transformer as per new laws, so they need a bigger space if they have to put dry type transformer, if they have to put besides the inside the building. Then recently they got allowed by putting a K-class fluid, but still the developers do not give the space. So then time being, they retrofill the transformer and reduce their risk. That now by transformer is the fire safe, and they are allowing transformer to load extra, almost 10% than the rating. So just think of 20 years back or 10 years back, when you need a system, and if your calculation comes that like what GETCO has been done. GETCO said, today my capability in the network is n-1. If my load is 8 MVA, I put 8 MVA to transform, so that anytime whenever failure is there, I load the one transformer as 100% 8 MVA, and another transformer I can repair it in 2-3 months. Same case when I was talking to the Tamini Italian case, where they replaced 375 MVA transformer by 250 MVA transformer for 150 MVA transformer. That means when you need the power, that time only you need to be rerouted as a double. But you can save significant on efficiencies. Why I'm saying so? Today, if you have a utility which likes to install all 400 kV, or let's say in Eastern India, they want to install all 500 kV transformer, they are going to have a future load of 630 or something. So today, go ahead with the 500 kVA, but go with the K class with a dual rating. That today, my transformer as per BIS level 1, level 2, whatever I allowed, I design transformer as 500 kV and install it, but it has one more nameplate that this transformer can take additional load as per IEC temperature rise and limits to, let's say, 630 or 1000 kVA. So your immediate replacement cost is also deferred, plus your life of transformer is also consumed. Like if transformer is designed for 25 years, in the entire 25 years, you need not to change the transformer, even your load has been significantly increased to 1.5 times. Now, such practices are mostly used today in Italy. Italy has been most popular using this technology, like all distribution started. I mean, that gentleman, whenever you go and talk to that Westrap, let's say small manufacturers in Italy, they are flooded with this SPL, they call sustainable peak load handling transformers, which are like, it has a 400 kVA nameplate, which is as per local standard, and it has a capacity to run as a 630 kVA lifelong without deteriorating its life. That's how those are been, and that's allowed by the local legislation.
I think this is a popular thing in those countries, and
European.
India is having a real urban challenge where you talked about the place availability for transformer, because the space availability by the builders or developers in metro cities like Mumbai, Delhi is always a concern, and especially into the peri-urban area, which is converting into fast urban area. Initial planning and putting such dual rating transformers probably will go a long way, because our per capita consumption is likely to jump from 1200 units to 1800 units by 6 to 7 years time. That's what is the anticipation. So this is a time for the utility to think about using dual rating in a large scale, especially into the peri-urban area, which gets converted in no time into the urban area. So thank you for sharing that vision and thoughts. Another question: is there any special skill need at utility level while opting for ester oil-based DT?
Honestly, not. But whenever utility opts it out, the initial training and all that has been organized, and we do a lot of work on that, to be honest, to train them. But what we actually train is what is not to be done. What is to be done, everyone knows, and one should know what is not to be done. And in a not to be done is when you are going for such a fantastic product, how you want to mix it with other product. So let's minimize the mixture with mineral oil. So the mixture with combustible material. That's one. And when they do handle existing equipment, same machines, filter machines can be used. Just clean the machine, change the filters, and use it. So there are O&M guidelines, manuals are available, and that's quite easy. When specific about the natural ester, when it comes to the exposure to the atmosphere, no matter which fluid you're using, but it has to be limited, whether it's mineral oil or anything, because they take moisture, and you unnecessarily need to burn electricity to extract the moisture from it. So it's a non-value added activity. You limit the exposure, especially for natural ester, because they not only love water, they also love oxygen, And if your exposure of the fluid is more than 28 days, it will start oxidating. So you limit the exposure less than 28 days, and then there is no concern.
Thank you. Looking at our clock, I think I will pose 2 more questions. There are a few other
Okay.
questions, but probably that is already answered. The first question, again, into the solar energy generation. A lot of grid connected solar energy park and solar energy generation source are coming. What are the general ratings you see in such solar park which are using as a transformer, and do they use K-class oil or do they use any other insulation fluid? That is number one.
Okay.
And number two, in such renewable energy, harmonic is one major issue. How to overcome its effect on transformer, and what type of transformers are used in India nowadays, and will K-class DT help in handling effect of overheating due to harmonics?
Yep. So quick answer is yes. Typically the popular rating, earlier it used to be a smaller inverter, so people used to have smaller transformers, but today the inverter capacity has gone up, the rating has been gone up. The smallest rating typically people look at it today is a 12.5 MVA. I mean, they have 8 MVA transformer doing job of 12.5 MVA, and K-class fluid is very popular. In Middle East and China, it is really a big numbers, whereas in India, it's picking up well now, especially in southern India and the western part. And when you design a transformer, those if it is a 5-winding, 4-winding, multiple secondaries, it depends on the inverter capacity. Today, voltage has also gone up from 480 volt to as high as 690 volt, or China started using 800 volt because the inverters are available of that capacity now. So there are the different voltages on the secondary part. I mean, I do not say secondary part here, from the solar side, from as high as low as 480 volt to as high as 800 volt. And now some OEM has also come up with 1000 volt. So that's a generation size. Now, because of the DC load and inverters, it will have a harmonics effect. So people do have normally electrostatic shield in the transformer between winding 1 and winding 2, so that the impurities and power quality is maintained. Impurities are not passed on to the grid, and power quality is maintained. And because of this nature, the transformer has overloading capability, or transformer has to be selected which has overloading capability, because harmonics will load additionally 10% to the transformer, and in that proportion the transformer can go to extreme high temperature. That is, like, transformers can be designed of 140-degree class, and that's where the ester and copper does a better job than any other conductor and any other fluid. So it's very popular. Now, to compensate this extra 10%, the transformer has to have that overloading capability, and that's what actually this fluid does. And depending on the park, they select the rating, but nowadays the smallest rating has been become, I would say, 8 MVA doing 12.5 MVA job. Very few cases you still have 6.5 MVA, but that's now getting absolute. So most of the places you find 12.5 MVA, which is like a transformer is 8 MVA doing 12.5 MVA job, but it has a 2 nameplates. And that's when it's a peak load generation during the day hours, like 4 hours. That hours it runs as, let's say, 12.5 hours, 12.5 MVA. Then there is a loading pattern. We have collected data from a lot many solar parks, and then we have come to the conclusion, taking the highest numbers, that yes, 4 hours is the typically highest generation, and all other time is a transformer either on no load or at partially load.
I wish the India's next 100 gigawatt from renewable energy, especially the solar energy, should use this dual type concept in a large proportion. So with that, I think we are almost 15 minutes overshot our time, but I am sure we all and all the participants have been benefited by your immense insights of the sector and the technology into this transformer. And yours, we deeply appreciate and thank you on behalf of the participants, as well as on behalf of ICA, P Manifold, and Spark. We missed Mr. Patnaik because of his official leave. And with that, I once again thanks the participant and I say goodbye for now. Keep watching. You will be getting the links for this event recording after some time, one day or so. And keep watching our next webinar session, which will be again an interesting knowledge sharing session with an interesting experiment into the distribution transformer segment. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Manojji. Bye bye, everyone, and appreciate your time for listening us carefully. Thank you.
Thank you.